My mother worked as a housekeeper for a wealthy family. Her employer was fond of her and allowed one of her children to attend a prestigious prep school with the young master as a study companion. My younger sister Stella said that as the older sibling, I shouldn't compete with her. So, as she wished, she got to attend the prep school while I continued at a regular one. 5 years later, I was about to graduate from college. Stella died abroad, her body covered in wounds from abuse. On my way to identify my sister's body, I was in a car accident. When I opened my eyes, I had returned to the exact day we had to make that choice. Without a moment's hesitation, I chose to be the young master's study companion. Stella just watched me silently, without objecting. I knew she had returned as well. This time we would swap roles once more. Mom called me and Stella over, her face beaming. Mrs. Blackwood said that my daughters are the same age as the young master Aiden, and she's asking which one of you wants to be his study companion. All tuition and living expenses will be covered, and there's even a monthly allowance. The offer was incredibly tempting. No need to struggle with studies. Just serve the young master well, and after graduating from the prep school, you could study abroad and even follow him into the family company. After listing all the benefits, Mom finally asked, "Luna, Stella, which one of you wants to go?" Stella was unusually quiet. She was the type who loved to play, hated studying, and despised hardship. Being a study companion for a young master was a job practically made for her. In my past life, the moment she heard the offer, she couldn't sit still, raising her hand and shouting, "Me, I'll go." Then she would have turned to me coquettishly. "Luna, you're the older sister, and you're good at school. You can't fight me for this." Although I also liked the educational environment of the prestigious school, I knew this opportunity was better suited for Stella, so I had smiled and nodded. "I won't fight you for it." In this life, Stella just lowered her head in silence. Even Mom found it strange. "Stella, what's wrong?" "I thought you'd be the one fighting for this." Stella forced a smile. "I'm too lazy and I can't keep my mouth shut. I'm not suited to serve a young master. Let my sister go." I was certain then. She had been reborn too. Mom thought her reasoning made sense and turned to me. "Luna, do you want to go?" I replied calmly. "I'll go this time." Stella turned to look at me, a strange light in her eyes. "Sister, I knew you loved me the most." After the decision was made, my school transfer was handled quickly. Under Mrs. Blackwood's arrangement, I moved into the mansion to live with Aiden Blackwood. Aiden was 15, not quite a man yet, but the aura of a privileged heir was already unmistakable. He observed me, the newcomer, with a look of disdain in his eyes, and asked coldly, "Have you even showered?" I understood immediately. He was mocking my tan skin. In my past life, Stella was bullied in the same way. Words like these had wounded her deeply, making her self-conscious about her skin color and causing her to try every method to lighten it. That's why in the photos I later received, she looked like a bloodless doll. I responded with the exact same attitude. "I'm from a neighborhood with water shortages. I haven't showered." Aiden immediately wrinkled his nose. "Disgusting. Don't come near me until you've showered." "Yes, sir." "Then I'll go shower first." I walked past him and followed the housekeeper upstairs. The housekeeper, Mr. Henderson, couldn't help but advise me. "The young master is a bit particular about cleanliness. From now on, you must remember to shower daily." I thanked him politely. "Thank you for the reminder, Mr. Henderson. I'll remember." The housekeeper left, satisfied. I put my clothes down and went to the bathroom to wash up. When I came down for dinner, it was just me and Aiden. His parents were rarely home, which was why they wanted to find someone to keep him company. Aiden seemed to find fault with everything about me, glaring at me every time he looked up to eat. I pretended not to see it and focused on enjoying my meal. After an hour, Aiden slammed his utensils on the table. The housekeeper standing nearby broke into a cold sweat, but I kept my head down and ate as if nothing had happened. This young master had been coddled his whole life and had never met someone as thick-skinned as me who wouldn't be bothered by his taunts. Of course, he couldn't stand it. "Are you a pig? All you know how to do is eat." His voice was full of annoyance and sarcasm. I finished my last bite, wiped my mouth with a napkin, and leisurely spoke. "Young master, We're in our growth phase. We have to eat a lot to grow tall. Have you even hit 5 feet 11 yet? Aiden couldn't take it anymore and roared. Get out! Get out of my sight! Getting out was not an option. I leisurely walked straight upstairs. I knew that provoking Aiden like this would not end well. For someone like him, dealing with me wouldn't require him to lift a finger. I took out a diary. The handwriting inside was messy, showing the writer was in a hurry, but had too much to say. I flipped through most of it and then carefully put it away. The next day, I rode to school with Aiden. His class was filled with rich kids just like him, from powerful families with all sorts of connections, all clustered in their own small cliques. Among them, Aiden's group was the most prominent. Money was one thing, but their good looks were what really made them stand out. When I stood on the podium as the teacher introduced me to the class, mocking laughter immediately erupted from below. Did she just crawl out of the mud? Oh my god, she looks so country. I bet she smells. Make sure she doesn't get near me. Every word was crystal clear. I could imagine how embarrassed and awkward Stella must have felt standing here. At her regular school, she was loved by everyone for her sweet personality and helpful nature. I hardened my face and swept my gaze over the students below. Gradually, the laughter died down. I'm Luna Evans. It's nice to meet you all. The teacher pointed to an empty seat at the back of the class. Luna, you can sit next to Julian Cole. Julian Cole, the notoriously difficult young master. A guy with more personality problems than even Aiden Blackwood. I walked over and put my bag down. At that moment, Julian, who had been dozing with his eyes closed, snapped them open to look at me, his gaze sharp and hostile. Who said you could sit here? The teacher. I calmly arranged my things. Julian continued to stare at me. Seeing that I had calmly sat down, he suddenly stood up and kicked my desk, sending it crashing with a loud bang. The whole class held its breath. Even the teacher didn't dare to say anything. I looked at him and smiled, both indulgently and helplessly. It's hard to control those violent urges, isn't it? But you managed to. With that, I set the desk upright myself and then asked seriously, do you want to kick it again? You can kick it one more time, but if you kick the desk, you're not allowed to kick me, okay? I was subtly reminding everyone, including him, that he had violent tendencies. Julian had probably never been played like this before. He immediately grabbed my collar. I covered my face and yelled, "Young master, save me!" Aiden let out a small smirk and leisurely spoke. Julian, you have to consider the owner before you hit the dog. My collar was released. I feigned fear and patted my chest, exclaiming, "The young master is truly the kindest of them all." Julian still looked like he wanted to hit me, but because of his relationship with Aiden, he held back. I lowered my head to clean up my desk, not missing Aiden's amused and slightly satisfied smile, nor Julian's openly scrutinizing gaze. Things were already starting to deviate from the path of my previous life. I knew my place, so I was always devoted to Aiden. Running errands and fetching water were daily tasks. My classmates would mock me. The housekeeper's daughter is certainly good at serving people. I pretended not to hear them, and eventually they got bored and stopped. The semester passed rather peacefully. When the final exam results were released, I ranked third in the class. First place was a quiet, reserved girl named Linda Carter, and second place was Julian Cole. When the rankings were posted, Julian gave me a rare glance, an expression that seemed to say, "I didn't expect you to have some brains in that head of yours." I turned my head to look back at him and smiled confidently. "Next time I'll be second." Julian smirked and turned away without another word. When winter break came, I was finally able to go home. When Stella saw me, her eyes lit up for a moment. Then she said, "Sister, you're so pretty now." The Blackwood family hadn't treated me poorly. Good skincare, designer clothes. It was normal for a teenage girl's appearance to change day by day. I knew I had changed. Stella is pretty too. I walked over and stroked her long hair, which was tied up in a high, gently swaying ponytail. In my past life, when she came home for winter break, her long hair had been cut short, all the way to her ears. I had asked her why. Because she always loved long hair. She had just laughed it off. In this life, I finally understood the reason. I handed her a new phone and an envelope with $200 inside. Stella took it and looked, a faint smile on her lips. It's true. You're living a better life than me. But the next semester will probably be tough. Can you handle it? She rested her chin on her hand and looked at me. I nodded. I should be fine. What about you? Are you getting used to it? Not really. Stella fiddled with her new phone and sighed. The homework is hard. The hot water is always broken. The cafeteria food is terrible. And Mom is always nagging. I listened silently until she let out a dry laugh. Luna, you can manage anywhere, but I can't. I hugged her from behind. But we're twin sisters. Our fates will always be intertwined. She replied coolly. Yes, you're right. After winter break, she handed me a newly completed diary. From now on, you walk this path alone. In my past life, 2 months after winter break, my mother moved back to her hometown to take care of my grandmother, and my sister had to transfer schools with her. From then on, Stella and I only communicated by phone. Gradually, besides transferring money to me, she rarely contacted me. I smiled and accepted the diary. I hope to see you again soon. Packing my luggage to return to the mansion, Aiden was not happy. It's not even the start of the semester. You didn't want to come back, huh? I smiled. It's all right. Has the young master been studying hard? Can you surpass me this semester? The housekeeper standing nearby winked at me, signaling me not to provoke him. Aiden, cut off by my words, stomped upstairs in a huff. I smiled at the housekeeper and then went to my room. Sitting at my desk, I looked at the diary pages stained with tears. The words written there in bold ink said, "That day she came. My nightmare began. From that moment on, I was no longer a person. I became a dog that anyone could do anything to." 2 weeks into the new semester, our class welcomed a transfer student. It was the girl mentioned in Stella's diary, Bella Thorne. Bella Thorne came from a prestigious family. She had a dazzlingly beautiful face and a smile like an angel. She was a childhood friend of Aiden and Julian. She had just moved abroad to study and had now returned. Both Aiden and Julian treated her very differently from others, a fact that everyone noticed. The students in the class began to whisper and gossip about the relationship between the three of them. I overheard bits and pieces, surprised to find that I was also mentioned. When she first found out I was Aiden's study companion, Bella didn't show any disgust. On the contrary, she smiled and pulled my arm, deliberately speaking loud enough for Aiden to hear. Aiden's temper is terrible. It must be so hard for you, Luna. Aiden, far from being angry, got a little flustered. Where is my temper terrible? If you think my temper is so bad, then don't be friends with me anymore. He even acted sulky. Bella was very used to his moody antics and easily coaxed him with a few gentle words. If I hadn't personally seen her cold face as she silently wiped the hand that had just held mine, I might have doubted whether Stella and I had met the same person. But it was indeed her. This arrogant and cruel young lady hadn't changed at all. When it came to the sports festival, I was somehow signed up for the 3,000-meter race. It was obvious someone had pulled a trick. The list can't be changed. You'd better train hard for the next few days. I silently observed the faces of the people in the class. A few showed a hint of worry for me, but most had the look of someone waiting for a good show. In my past life, Stella had been forced to sign up like this. At that time, she was being severely bullied and didn't dare to resist. She had to grit her teeth and run, resulting in her fainting in the middle of the sports field. Not a single person took her to the infirmary. It was only by luck that the school doctor was passing by and found her. This life, it was my turn. My only sensitivity was reserved for Stella. As for everyone else, I treated them all the same, with indifference. Young master. I stood up abruptly and called out towards the front of the class where Aiden was. Young master. Young master. He was talking to Bella and turned around, annoyed. Shut up! What is it? I was signed up for the 3,000-meter race. I can't run it. I'll probably die after running. You're the young master. Think of something. I said it without a hint of shame. Aiden and Bella were both stunned. In the end, I didn't have to run the 3,000 meters. Just because of one sentence from Aiden, If you can't run, then don't. The sports representative immediately scratched my name off the list. Julian, sitting next to me, sneered, "Bookworm. So what if I'm a bookworm? Are you going to hit me?" "Why would I hit you?" "Then just drop it!" Julian gritted his teeth in frustration, flipping his book so hard the pages rustled. I knew Bella was looking in our direction. I pretended not to see her. The following days, my life became much more lively. Once I went to the restroom and someone splashed water on me, leaving me soaking wet when I returned to class. I stood right in front of Aiden. "Young master, someone is hitting the dog without even looking at the owner." Aiden nearly choked on his water. Everyone in the class had a different expression. They probably never expected me to be so thick-skinned. After that, no one dared to splash water on me anymore, but they started putting dead rats in my desk drawer. I picked up the rat by its tail and walked to the front of Aiden's desk, calling out seriously, "Young master, someone is hitting the dog without respecting the owner again." Aiden looked at the bloody, mangled dead rat and almost threw up. He screamed, "Get it away from me!" I feigned a heartbroken expression, carried the rat back to my seat, and offered it to Julian. "Young Master Cole, if you accept this rat, we can immediately sign a master-servant contract." Julian's face turned ashen, but he was actually considering it. Aiden, having just regained his composure, said irritably, "I told you to throw that rat away and come back here." From that day on, no one dared to put dead rats in my desk anymore. After the dead rat incident, the pranks became more sophisticated, such as framing me for things. A girl from our class lost a gold bracelet. Because it was valuable, the school immediately checked the security cameras. After confirming that I had walked past her, she claimed that the bracelet was gone when she returned to class. Security guards and teachers came to ransack my desk and, sure enough, found a gold bracelet in the drawer. Everyone looked at me with an "I knew it" expression, as if my being poor automatically meant I was a thief. The teacher was disappointed. "Luna Evans, even if you ... Don't be disappointed just yet, sir," I interrupted. "Why don't you send it for a fingerprint test? Let's see if I ever touched it." My words made the teacher choke. The girl who had accused me retorted awkwardly, "You probably wore gloves when you stole it." I acted indifferent. "Then bring out your evidence." Young master, someone is ... Shut up." Aiden Blackwood walked over, a hint of a headache in his voice. "Check carefully." It wasn't her. The accuser was about to say more when Julian Cole suddenly cut in. "The most she's guilty of is sneaking fruit from the cafeteria." I felt no shame. It was delicious, so I wanted more. The teachers and the entire class believed me. I turned to look at the group behind me. Bella Thorne's gaze was ice cold. I just smiled sweetly. In the diary, the most important turning point in Stella's life was Aiden Blackwood's birthday party. At that time, Stella was struggling amidst the isolation, bullying, and false accusations at school. Bella Thorne, the one who had pushed her to rock bottom, didn't even bother to hide her contempt and malice. With a sweet voice and a gentle smile, she forced Stella to crawl on her hands and knees at the birthday party, to bark like a dog, and forbade her from speaking human words. That was the final straw that broke Stella. She gathered all her courage and begged Aiden to let her stop being his study companion. She wanted to go home. Aiden just smirked and took out a video of the party scene, his voice light. "You can go." But this clip will become a trending topic. Gold-digging girl imitates a dog at a party to please the rich, with your face crystal clear. I remember you have a twin sister, right? I'm sure her life won't be much better. A 16-year-old Stella, in her despair, had to compromise. After that, more brutal humiliations came crashing down on her like waves. She struggled to breathe, to survive. At 18, Stella was forced to be the girlfriend of Bella Thorne's private driver, a man in his 30s. He took pleasure in hurting her. Stella had fought back, reported it to the police, and even tried to run away. She did everything she could think of to save herself, but never once succeeded. My Stella, how much pain did she have to endure for those 5 years? How desperate must she have been before she died? I bit my thumb hard to keep from crying. I read the last page of the diary. On my 23rd birthday, Aiden Blackwood took me to a party. They forced me to drink, drugged my wine, and they were all like rampaging beasts. And Aiden just sat in the middle of it all, silently watching me. Luna, I was in so much pain then. My whole body hurt, my head hurt, my heart hurt. And then I died. I buried my face in the desk, sobbing uncontrollably, completely unaware of when Aiden had entered the room. He frowned. Crying is so ugly. I kept my head down, grabbing a tissue to blow my nose, my voice stuffy. Young master, is something wrong? Why are you crying? Aiden asked, his brow furrowed. Is it just because of a few pranks? Pranks? When that word was created, no one probably thought it would be used to describe things like this. I composed myself, trying to act strong. No, I was just homesick. Something in my words seemed to touch Aiden. He turned and left, leaving only one sentence before closing the door. I'll have Mr. Henderson take you home. I knew then. His feelings towards me were no longer the same as before. I didn't go home. Aiden seemed quite pleased with that. His sarcastic remarks had lessened considerably in the following days. Not only that, but the malicious pranks also disappeared. And, as if possessed, he suddenly insisted on taking me to get a gown custom made for his birthday party. I didn't even think about it and refused outright. Aiden got a little angry. Luna Evans, don't be ungrateful. I was engrossed in my book. I'm just a study companion. I'm not a lady. Why would I wear a high-end evening gown? If you study properly, that's the best way to repay me. And once again, Aiden stormed off, his face purple with rage. A few days later, Julian Cole suddenly asked me, "What are you planning to wear to Aiden's birthday party?" I was staring at a difficult math problem and blurted out, "My school uniform." He went silent. The next day, he brought a shopping bag. It was a dress from a luxury brand I recognized. "For you." He placed the bag on my desk with such authority that the whole class turned to look. I shrank in my seat, waving my hands. No, I don't need it. Please take it back. I've given it to you, so just take it. Don't be ungrateful. Sound familiar? Aiden had appeared out of nowhere, standing right next to my desk, looking none too pleased. She is my person. I will prepare her dress. Julian smirked. She could be my person too. Stop fighting. Bella Thorne tilted her head and looked at me. You two have no taste. I'll take her to pick out a dress this weekend. I laughed foolishly and refused. Evening gowns are so expensive, I can't afford one. Of course I'm buying it for you. What were you thinking? Bella smiled and gently tapped my forehead. Poor her, she probably had to go scrub her hands raw after that. Aiden also nodded. Just go pick one. I'll pay. Julian immediately threw the dress in the trash can behind him. If you won't take it, then fine. I looked at him seriously. It's such a waste to throw it away. If you invite me to your birthday party, I could wear this. Julian was stunned for a moment, then glanced at me before looking down at his phone. Forget it. I'll buy you a better one. This small incident passed quickly. The weekend dress shopping also went smoothly. Bella didn't pull any tricks and actually helped me choose a dress that suited me. At the end of May, Aiden's birthday arrived. The mansion was bustling for days. The staff was busy decorating. The chef was preparing the menu, and I was busy taste testing. The food was delicious. After eating my fill, I thought to myself, in this life, my fate and Stella's fate in the previous life are completely different. Those evil people, would they still dare to turn against me? On the night of the party, I stood in a corner wearing a beautiful evening gown. Aiden was surrounded by people in the brightest spot, with Julian, Bella, and other young masters and ladies by his side. I watched them silently, matching the names in my head one by one. Suddenly, Aiden turned and looked at me. Our eyes met for a fleeting moment before he turned away and continued his conversation. This party was mostly for people our age. In the upper-class world, the social connections of the children were just as important as those of the adults. Hey, which family are you from? A boy standing next to me brazenly looked me up and down. A designer dress was one thing, but to truly stand out as a young lady, you needed sparkling jewelry, exquisite makeup, flawless skin, and most importantly, the social grace to navigate a party. I didn't intend to hide it and replied frankly, I'm young Master Blackwood's study companion. He burst out laughing and pulled a few others over. Did you hear that? She's the daughter of the Blackwoods housekeeper. Clothes really do make the person. She cleans up nicely. Young Master Blackwood dotes on her so much he even buys her dresses. There must be something going on, right? Those guys laughed as if they knew some unspeakable secret between me and Aiden. I was about to open my mouth and call for the young master when a girl next to me pulled my arm, signaling me not to speak, and then coldly told them, "You'd better watch your mouths, or you might get into trouble." The boys paid her no mind and sneered. Get into trouble? What's she going to do? Show us what she's got that can seduce young Master Blackwood? I bet it's worth a look, haha. I immediately raised my voice. Young Master, there are people here hitting the dog without respecting the owner. I know, Aiden cut me off, leading a group of young masters and ladies in our direction. The girl next to me sighed and stepped back, leaving them with a good luck look in her eyes. Aiden asked coldly, "What's going on now?" Seeing Aiden coming to my defense, those guys immediately got flustered. We were just joking. It's nothing. Yeah, just chatting. Amidst the curious gazes of the crowd, I announced seriously. They said that the young master and I have an ambiguous relationship. This kind of rumor is defamatory. I think the young master should be aware of it. I heard Aiden sigh. He said, "Don't you guys have any class?" Those guys immediately bowed and apologized. Julian added sarcastically, "Aiden, it's your birthday party." But all sorts of cats and dogs seemed to have gotten in. Aiden was genuinely angry now. He immediately called the housekeeper to have those guys thrown out. The party ended smoothly. Not only did I not have to suffer the humiliation of the previous life, but Aiden even stood up for me. It was like a story about a poor female protagonist assigned to be a study companion for a cold young master, who then gradually warms his heart. The feelings between us were quietly changing. 2 years later, we graduated from high school. I followed Aiden to the United States. Our relationship hadn't changed much, except that he had gotten used to my presence and my care. I was a good student, and even in the US, I always maintained a top 3 position in my major. Aiden sometimes couldn't understand. You don't need to try so hard. When we go back, you'll just work at my company anyway. You won't be short on salary. I didn't bring you to the US to have you eat instant noodles every day. I slurped my noodles without looking up. Tomorrow you're treating me to a feast. Thanks. Aiden was speechless and started eating his own noodles. America is a very free place. So free that even your soul feels like it's running around naked. Aiden was not the shy type. In fact, it was the opposite. Looking back at what he did in the previous life, he was the type who knew how to enjoy himself. Enjoyment is the privilege of those at the top. When wealth and status are predetermined at birth, the only thing left to stimulate the senses is everything else. Aiden's romantic relationships were a complete mess. This was probably a common ailment among young masters. I had accidentally walked in on a few R-rated scenes, but I was never surprised. Everyone was very nonchalant. Aiden, of course, and the girls he was with were also nonchalant. And I was even more nonchalant than them. I would just pick up my laptop and say, "Young master, remember to use protection. Diseases are a hassle." Then I would gently close the door behind me. Bella Thorne was also studying in the US. Although she didn't attend the same university as Aiden, there were plenty of opportunities to meet. She didn't become the radiant, sunny young lady of imagination. Even though she couldn't completely crush me in high school, her nature was hard to change. She just changed her methods a bit. As she said herself, there always had to be someone beneath her feet. Those two were past the age of youthful dreams. Now they openly lived an open relationship lifestyle, each playing their own game. And I was just passing through a chaotic world, only knowing to bury my head in my homework. Year after year passed. Only occasionally, when I stared at the chat window on my phone, did I suddenly realize that this was a completely different world from my previous life. Aiden, having just finished showering, was drying his hair and peeked over my shoulder. "What are you looking at?" He still smelled of faint steam and shower gel, and we were less than a hand's breadth apart. Without even turning my head, I could clearly see his eyelashes. At 21, Aiden had fully matured. Broad shoulders, long legs, sharp and arrogant features. He was the type of person sculpted from money and glory, with a very unique charm. But between us, things were still innocent, just a little closer than normal. I turned my phone for him to see. My sister sent me a picture. Aiden looked for a moment, then stood up straight, leaving one sentence behind. "Not as pretty as you," before walking away. They were clearly two identical faces. After graduating in the US, I returned to the country with Aiden. Julian and Bella also came back. The once promiscuous young master had now transformed into a talented young businessman, swirling wine glasses and navigating the business world. I naturally became Aiden's assistant. Julian had tried a few times to gauge the relationship between me and Aiden. After finding out the answer, he became very active in trying to poach me. A few times like that made Aiden annoyed, and he directly warned Julian not to approach me anymore. Bella entered the entertainment industry. In this day and age, a beautiful young lady, even without acting skills, could still have countless fans. Her family was also willing to pour money into resources for her. But once, she was caught by the paparazzi entering and leaving a place with Aiden. The story between the two of them was dug up from the roots. It was inevitable that they became a trending topic. Phrases like childhood sweethearts, talented man and beautiful woman, a match made in heaven, and even my ship has become real, appeared everywhere. Aiden was hounded by the paparazzi and got into a huge fight with Bella over the phone. After all, both of them were the type to live for themselves. Arguing was a daily occurrence for them. After hanging up, Aiden Blackwood's voice was low. "Luna, cancel my schedule for tomorrow." I nodded. "Yes, Mr. Blackwood." Aiden had clearly been under a lot of pressure lately. Stepping into the corporate world was a world away from his school days. He leaned back on the sofa, a layer of exhaustion settling over his face like a fog. "I'm going to Elysium," he said. Elysium. The name itself suggested a decadent party, a luxurious escape for the upper class. I glanced at the clock. It was already 11:30 p.m. I said nothing more. "Yes, sir. I'll get the car." As I was about to leave, Aiden grabbed my wrist. Unsteady, I fell right into his lap. I let out a startled cry. "Young master!" Aiden held me tightly, letting out a helpless sigh. "Luna, do you have any idea how long I've been holding back?" I blinked, my face a mask of innocent confusion. "Holding back what? Are you in pain somewhere?" Words seemed to catch in his throat. Finally, he just gave a bitter laugh and let me go. "You're so clean. So clean that I can't bring myself to ruin it." I looked down at the top of his head and replied naively, "Of course. I shower every day." In the end, Aiden went to Elysium alone, and I considered my workday over. When I got home, a single nightlight was still on in the living room. I pushed open the door. Stella wasn't asleep. She was wearing headphones, completely lost in her own world. Her waist-long hair, still dripping with water, showed she had just showered and hadn't even dried it. The floor was covered with sheet music, and she was tapping out notes on a device that looked like an electric piano. She was so focused she didn't even notice someone else had entered the room. I didn't disturb her and quietly retreated to my own room. Sitting at my desk, I continued to review the two remaining documents. I knew that these two entities had no intersection with the Blackwood Group's network. To achieve my goal, I would have to borrow someone else's strength. Aiden had reached marriageable age. The Thorne family and the Blackwood family had a tacit understanding that there would be a marriage alliance. Aiden's parents were urging him to get engaged to Bella Thorne quickly. But Aiden seemed to be going through a rebellious phase. He acted as if he didn't hear them, and when pushed too hard, he would turn cold, slam the door, and leave. While at work, I would sometimes look up and catch him staring at me, his expression complex and unreadable. The Thorne family's influence had been waning recently, which made them even more anxious to secure this marriage alliance. Bella came to see Aiden more and more frequently and even proactively leaked to the media that the two were about to be engaged to create a media frenzy. Pushed from all sides, Aiden's temper grew worse, making the atmosphere at the company tense and suffocating. I continued to perform my duties as the CEO's assistant perfectly, never offering my opinion, never gossiping. But I couldn't stand it when Aiden started making emotional statements again. Luna, to be born into a family like this, where you can't even decide your own marriage. It's so tragic. I couldn't help but let out a dry laugh. Yes, yes, of course. He looked at me, his voice dark. Even if you're a block of wood, you should have some understanding. I replied frankly, Mr. Blackwood, I'm gold. You have gold working as your assistant and you don't appreciate it, instead calling me wood. Slam. He stormed off in a huff. One day, Bella Thorne came to the office when I was the only one there. Luna. She sat with her legs crossed on the sofa, her voice arrogant. Coffee. I brought her a coffee and placed it in her hand. She took a sip and smiled gently. Good to see you still remember how I like it. Then her tone shifted, becoming suggestive. No wonder Aiden can't leave you. You take such good care of him. My face was blank. Mr. Blackwood pays a fairly high salary. PH. Bella smirked. Don't play innocent in front of me. What Aiden thinks of you, do you think I can't see it? After all these years, you've somehow become the moonlight in his heart. I pretended not to understand. Miss Thorne, I have no idea what you're talking about. She stood up, her gaze condescending. It's fine if you don't understand. Because of you, Aiden keeps delaying our engagement. I'll have to think of another way. Miss Evans, just wait and see. I calmly saw her out. Take care, Miss Thorne. Bella Thorne, indeed, played a big card. She went directly to Stella and offered her a $100 deposit, telling Stella to seduce Aiden. In her eyes, Aiden was only fixated on me because he couldn't have me. If she gave him someone who looked just like me, even as a substitute, his obsession would fade, and he would let go. Logically, it sounded plausible. But the problem was Stella. My sister, whose mind was filled with nothing but music, on the verge of a breakdown from creative block, was suddenly confronted by Bella at her door. At first, in her dazed state, Stella didn't recognize who it was, until Bella introduced herself and stated her purpose. Stella was jolted. The memories of her past life collided with her current mental state and, in less than a second, she was screaming and calling the police. When I got home, the police were comforting Stella, who was crying to the point of near collapse. Luna, I'm so scared. The moment she saw me, Stella threw herself into my arms, sobbing uncontrollably. Standing to the side was Bella Thorne with the darkest expression I had ever seen on her face, looking as if she had already cursed Stella and me 1,000 times over in her head. According to her assistants, Stella had started screaming, backing away while calling the police, and yelling erratically while pulling at her own hair. Stay away from me. You heartless demon, you won't hurt me again. The police, unable to communicate with Stella, could only tactfully suggest, Miss Evans, perhaps you should take your sister for a psychological evaluation. I forced a smile and nodded. Yes, I'll take her for a checkup. I'm sorry to have troubled you all. As soon as I saw the police out, before I could even turn around, I heard a voice call out. Luna, what happened? It was Aiden. His arrival made the atmosphere tense again, this time because of Bella. She had been bottling up her frustration, and now it exploded. Aiden, what are you doing here? I came to my assistant's house. Not wanting to get involved in her tantrum, I carried Stella to her room. Stella had calmed down by now, exhausted from crying. She whispered, I'm sorry, I made trouble for you again. I gently wiped her tears. It's me who got you into this mess. After I told her the whole story, Stella's eyes were red, but she managed to smile. I told you, you can live well anywhere. But sister, don't think about revenge for my sake. You're healthy and I'm healthy. In this life, that's enough. My Stella, always so gentle, always thinking of me first. Don't worry. You know me best. I know what should be done and what shouldn't. Stella shifted to the side, and I lay down next to her. We held hands, our foreheads touching. I whispered, whether it's the Blackwood family or the Thorne family, to me now, they are just flies buzzing around a big tree. But we're still young. We have plenty of time to deal with this. I'm very happy, Luna. I have a talent for music. My songs are liked by many people, and I have you by my side every day. The biggest thing I have to worry about is how to write a better song. That's something I never dared to dream of in my past life. She smiled innocently. Let's protect this happiness together. I smiled too. Yes, we definitely will. There was a knock on the door outside. I tucked Stella in and went to open it. Bella was gone. Aiden was standing there, looking tired. Why didn't you tell me from the beginning? I poured him a cup of tea. Because it wasn't necessary. Not necessary. His voice rose slightly. I'm the one ... bull quotes he caught himself, then relented. Has Julian been in contact with you recently? I nodded honestly. CEO Cole has invited me to dinner a few times, but it conflicted with work, so I declined. Aiden let out a laugh, a sound mixed with a bit of satisfaction and some shared empathy. He looked at me and mumbled, "What kind of charm do you have anyway?" 3 years later, Aiden was past his rebellious phase and formally engaged to Bella Thorne. I was still his assistant, but my job was completely different from when I first started. I was in charge of key projects, with executive power nearly equal to a coup. Bella's media resources grew richer, while Julian never stopped trying to poach me in various ways. Aiden was incredibly busy, his aura keeping everyone at a distance. In contrast, I was very happy. Stella had participated in a singing competition. Although she didn't win first place, she came in third, receiving a lot of love from the public. One day I came home and saw her short hair. I was stunned. Stella, your hair. What happened? In that moment, 1,000 thoughts raced through my head, from anti-fans attacking her to an acid attack. Stella dusted flour off her hands, smiled, and twirled in front of me. What's that expression? Doesn't it look good? The fans all say my short hair is cute. I breathed a sigh of relief and ruffled her hair. Yes, it's beautiful. Stella continued humming as she cooked. The drawer where she kept her diary now only contained files on the Blackwood and Thorne corporations. I always liked to be one step ahead. If an easier path appeared before I had to tear them down myself, I wouldn't miss it. So, every day I silently prayed for their internal affairs to descend into chaos. Science or superstition, I believed in both. Julian, having recently completed a major project, was relaxed and looking to stir up trouble. He even had the audacity to drive to my company to pick me up, wanting to invite me to dinner. This news reached Aiden's ears the next day. He immediately had security ban Julian's license plate from the company premises. Time flowed like water. The year I turned 28, Aiden and Bella got married, the event trending in real time. 2 months later, I proactively resigned. Due to a non-compete clause in my contract, I was temporarily unemployed. Stella seemed to have known this was coming. She pulled out a bank card and handed it to me proudly. Spend it however you like. I didn't stand on ceremony and took it. Aiden must have thought I left out of heartbreak. He came to find me a few times drunk, but was always sent away by my cold wooden demeanor. During my 2 years at home, I didn't waste any time. The connections I had built at the Blackwood group didn't disappear with my resignation. I also kept a close watch on Bella's every move. The year I turned 30, Stella released a song to commemorate her 30th birthday. I put on my business suit again and walked into the headquarters of the coal corporation. The sky turned gray. Thick clouds before the rain. Your umbrella appeared before my eyes. Looking up, I saw a face strangely identical to my own. Stella held an umbrella and handed it to me, gently reminding me, "Call me when you're done. I'll come pick you up." Julian Cole walked out of the building. The moment he saw the two of us sisters, he froze. Stella leaned in and whispered in my ear, "Luna, are you choosing him this time?" Whether letting go or watching from the sidelines, both are a kind of cruelty. I will always choose my sister. Everything was gradually heading in a completely different direction from the previous life, so what? I knew his feelings for me were not the same as before, so what? Their malice was no longer aimed at me, so what? Our feelings had changed, so what? I was just a snail, hiding a knife in my shell, slowly crawling up the grapevine, patiently waiting for the grapes to ripen. The story ends here. Thank you for listening and following. If you like this video, please like, comment, and subscribe to the channel so I have more motivation to make new videos. See you in the next video.